Hello, it's the beginning of week 8 in our Introduction to Literature class for the spring 2013 semester. We're almost halfway through the semester and I hope you've been enjoying the course. I know from your discussions and assessments that people are engaging with the reading, finding interesting characters and settings and stories, and that's fantastic. Moving forward, we have one more week left before spring break. We're finishing up the play Proof. In today's video cast, I'm going to go through a little PowerPoint that will hopefully give you some information to help you with the rest of the play. Then we have a week off for spring break, and after spring break we'll be getting into this book, our book Winter's Bone, our novel for the semester by Daniel Woodrell. If you don't have a copy of this, you probably want to pick one up. We'll be starting that, like I said, the week after spring break, beginning March 17th. I've collected your essays. Today, Sunday, March 3rd, is the last day the assignment will be open. If you haven't submitted anything at this point, please email me immediately so we can figure out a solution. I'll have those grades posted by the end of this week. I'm going to release the grades as I go through them. I've already read some and released some of the grades, and I'll continue to do that throughout this week. The play Proof that we're in the middle of right now might be my favorite story of the entire semester. It's a really wonderful family story, and I absolutely love the character of Catherine and how she negotiates her worlds of Claire and the world of her father, and in the world of the father's student, Hal. There's been a lot of interesting discussion about some of the setting in this play, and I just wanted to give you some pictures of different productions and what that setting might look like. Let's see if I can get through a few of these. Here we have Catherine and her father presented in one production, the two sisters, Catherine and Claire. Let's see, this might be my favorite setting that out of any of the pictures I could find. Remember, the only setting for this play is the back porch of a home in Chicago. Now, I imagine it's a home in disrepair. Robert hasn't been taking care of it, and Catherine was taking care of Robert, so there really was no one to take care of the physical structure of the house. And I'm sure as time went on, the inside of the house started to deteriorate. Here's another interesting picture of what the setting might look like. It's not a surprise for me that in this play, the setting of the house starts to echo things in the characters themselves. And as the play continues in Act 2, look for where the house is mentioned. In some of the scenes we hear about heat issues and the radiators, the windows. Look for opportunities to connect those details to what's going on with the characters, in particular Robert and Catherine. Both of them live in this world of isolation because of Robert's illness. But in another way, being a high-level mathematician, somebody who understands concepts most of us could never grasp, that must be a form of isolation as well. And the loneliness expressed, I think, by Catherine is partly due to her being in charge of taking care of her father over the years, but also because she, as we know at the end of Act 1, is very intelligent and claims to have written the proof that Hal found, this amazing proof. If that's true, then she might live a life of isolation and loneliness because there are not a lot of people that could even understand her work. Hal, he's a member of that world of mathematics, even can't understand parts of it. So look for opportunities where the setting and the characters, or the setting and the story, connect in interesting ways. There are a number of themes that I think I mentioned last week in the course notes. I've put them on the PowerPoint here as well. Certainly we learn a lot about math culture and the idea that math can be beautiful as a painting or as a statue or as a poem. The idea of the narrow line that divides genius and insanity, I think, is discussed in this play. I often wonder how many geniuses are out there that aren't able to fit into the customs and social customs and order of this world. It certainly doesn't mean that the way they see the world is wrong, but it might be harder to fit their version of the world into what we commonly assume ours is. And some of those versions might be beautiful, wonderful, amazing, genius versions of the world. Inheritance, what we inherit from family, both physical objects as well as mental ideas might be a theme in this play. And finally, family, and how family negotiates these complex relationships. One more thing I wanted to share with you. Motifs are repeated items in a work of literature, and they're often meant to act as symbols. They certainly can affect the mood of the story or provide reference points for us when we read stories. The motifs in this play that I see it being used a lot are the ideas of hot and cold, specifically with Robert. Look forward in Act 2 to more of this hot and cold motif being developed. Being asleep and being awake is another thing that's referenced in the play a lot. I think the first line of the play in Act 1, Scene 1 is a reference to sleeping. And certainly with hot and cold and awake and asleep, we can attribute ideas about sanity and insanity. Even someone who's extremely talented or someone who's not very talented at math. If perhaps your mind is alive and full of ideas, it's hot. If it's dead inside and riddled with illness, it might be considered cold. Asleep would certainly be another word you could attribute to your mind being riddled with illness. And awake might be a version of your mind on fire, or your certainly for Catherine or Robert, the best work they did was when they were awake and their mind was awake and when it was hot, as opposed to being cold and asleep. Proofs in life and proofs in math is one more theme that I see being developed in this play. For a mathematician, when you create a proof, you're trying to structure laws in an order that proves something to be true. A common proof is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which has to do with triangles and a particular kind of triangle. Those kind of proofs are elegant and beautiful and clean. Proving things in life is often much more difficult. Catherine trying to prove to herself that she made the right decision with her father to not institutionalize him is a much more challenging proof to construct, and probably one that isn't as clean and elegant and beautiful as math proofs. In the play, there's a lot of little things that are trying to be proved. In Act 1, Scene 1, whether or not Hal has something in his backpack, whether or not there's something in that office that's of value, whether or not 1729 is a beautiful number. These are proofs that the characters are trying to determine. And in Act 2, we'll see more of these proofs in life as well as these proofs in math. And as we know, the whole center of the play at this point is that proof that Catherine possibly wrote. I hope you enjoy the rest of the play. I think it's a wonderful story, and we have a discussion and assessment that's due at the end of the week on March 10th. Following that, we have a week off, and then we'll begin Winter's Bone. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to reading your ideas about the play.